both characters come out of the ballet. You know, she's based off of Rothbard, you know, the demon who has captured the maiden and turned her into a swan creature, whatever it is. And I think that the loyalty that the swan creature, the swan queen, has to Rothbard was, she isn't just a prisoner, she's kind of has a loyalty to him in the ballet. And so that sort of built into the mother. And then Vincent Cassel is the prince in the film because everyone wants his love. And, you know, in the ballet it's told from the point of view of the prince. This is told from the point of view of the swan queen. But the prince is in control and, you know, everyone wants his desire and love. And Vincent is, you know, he's a gift to the planet, you know. That's all I can say. I mean, he's just so smooth and so easy and just, you know, he's just standing on the edge of set, just waiting for his chance to come out, and then he's just tap dancing through it, you know. So,
as beautiful as this film is, you can close your eyes and listen to this film, and it sounds fantastic. And that the sound design, where sometimes Vincent is yelling at you from the back and it startles you, to Manzel's music, to Winona Ryder's awesome voice in life. Can you talk about how you worked with the sound and the composer?
Oh, so, you know, it's just a team effort. And, you know, probably one of the major reasons I did the film was for Clint, to see what he would, you know, how he would fuck up Tchaikovsky. And it was great. You know, he spent 6 months deconstructing the score and kind of reassembling it, rearranging it, and adding his own ideas. And then we went to London, and Andy and I recorded with an 80-piece orchestra and turned it into this one huge piece of music that feels like Swan Lake, but it's really, really far from it. I mean, it was a huge challenge to take something that's been in the public domain for a long time and has been in everything from Bugs Bunny to Volkswagen commercials, and turn it into something scary and, you know, arresting and new and fresh. And that's the accomplishment, you know.
I mean, he took a very recognizable and specific vocabulary with this music and kind of flipped it upside down. And I think, I guess the way you talked about it was with deconstructing it and then building it. I mean, the way I read it was that it starts out deconstructed, and by the time you get to the ballet and everything is in the film and the ballet is really kind of merged into one, that you've got full-on Tchaikovsky going. But in terms of the sound design and what you were describing here, I mean, I think in our mix, we really went for a full 5-1 experience. And because sometimes you often shy away from that and make sure you get your dialogue in the middle, and you don't want to flirt too much with the edges, because who knows if the speaker's even hooked up over there. But we really just went for it. But there were times where we sat in our mix stage and thought maybe we should be doing the iPad mix instead.
I'm going to open it up to our audience here, right there.
In negotiating between the sense of absurdity and reality, what sort of strategies did you all employ in response to
But thoughts that kept in mind the balance between absurdity and realism,
Reality. Andy, that was your line to walk.
You know, I'm not sure that we did it quite that consciously. It was more of a gut thing in terms of what was too much and too extreme. But we weren't afraid of different reactions to different things. And, you know, one thing that I think was clear right away was that things could be both scary and funny at the same time, which is very not a common thing. But I mean, think about the masturbation scene for a second. I mean, that's probably the most horrific thing that could happen to you. And it's also pretty funny. So I think we weren't that worried about it, unless
we had a big,
felt funny to us.
There were big debates about tone all the time, about like, should we put a stab, a musical stab, because Flint gave us this great musical stab, as did our sound designers, you know, when you cut to the mouth. And that's a question, that's a tight line to walk. I mean, you put a cue, how big is that stab? How loud should it be? Because that'll affect if it goes too far. And it was always a line. I mean, it was, you know, it was, the film's very, very different without the music and the sound design. It's, in fact, one of Scott Silver, who wrote The Fighter, who's one of my oldest friends in the business, saw the film before the music, and he said he liked the film more. But he's a real, he did The Fighter, so he's very realistic in tone. And I remember when we got Clint's music and we put it on, we were like, uh-oh, because we knew it was suddenly going to go bonkers, the movie. But we couldn't resist it because it was like, fuck it, this is fun. And that was the thing. Let's make it fun, and it became more, which was always the intention. At one point the film was called Swan Lake, and it could have been called Swan Lake, except the studio would have had a harder time releasing it. But because we were always saw it as our version of Swan Lake, and that we looked at the film as a ballet, and we needed that music. And if you listen to the original Swan Lake, it's bonkers. I mean, classical music is kind of crazy. It's just like suddenly screaming loud, and then it's really mellow, and then it's crazy again, and it's hysterical. And so, we sort of wanted to capture that mood of the music in a visual form. Doesn't answer your question. But.
Oh, all the way over there in the back.
Do you have a love affair with Super 16?
Do you have a love affair with Super 16?
I have a love affair with film. So Super 16, 35 millimeter. I enjoy shooting film. I mean, Darren wanted to shoot Super 16. I'm always game for it. But it was the right. I truly believe it was the right call for this film. It adds that, going back to the idea, the notion of documentary verite feel at the beginning of the film. I think if we set in place, we pick up in this person's life, and it feels like somebody is documenting it. And that was kind of the idea there, that we just drop into this person's existence, and it's already ongoing. It's not the beginning of a film, it's the middle of someone's life. So I like the way it feels as soon as you drop in after the first scene. You're in the bedroom and she wakes up, and the film's grainy, and then it just gets grainier. So you get the third act.
Right there.
Sorry. The first thing I actually just want to say is congratulations on the film. You guys, it really is a fantastic film. I just have a very quick comment and a question coming right after it. And the one thing I just want to comment on another film that you made, which I feel is one of the best films ever made in the world, and that's The Fountain. Needed to be up there with Kubrick's Clockwork Orange for costume.
All right, easy going through this thing. all 8 other people agree with you.
What you did on that, what I played here as the writer and director, is that you make people experience in film, which is really fantastic. And it's what I try to aspire to do. And basically, it's the question that I have for you, 1 hour to the next, is that I would very much like to come and work with you. And I just
All right. You absolutely.
Yeah, we'll talk afterwards. Right there.
So ever since the first time I saw it, I've been so curious about what the backstory that you and the actresses came up with, or was she just purely representing the
The mother-daughter relationship, what represented?
We spent a lot of time talking about it, and we had a whole backstory worked out. That the writer Mark Heyman and me and the actors talked about a lot, about the relationship, about her dad. All that stuff was figured out. And then, Barbara went off to shoot another movie during it, and I had Barbara write 3 letters to Natalie that I never looked at, but I gave them one by one to Natalie during emotional parts of the film, just to sort of connect her to her mom. So there was a whole thing going on between them, and I think it was necessary. I mean, yeah, that stuff was, we tried to make it as real as possible, because we knew that it was, intense and over the top, but I think it needs to be grounded in some type of truth that the actors can draw off of.
Was there any improv around the script at all? One part that encapsulates the film to me is when they have the cake, and she's not eating it, and she goes, well, then it's garbage. It's such a black and white kind of, it's either this or it's this. Was that
There's a lot of improv throughout the film.